Hello again and welcome to the UPSC channel. I am glad that you are here. This video is part 4 of the series. In my last video, we discussed a few chemo and immunotherapy drugs. The chemo drugs mentioned were carboplatin, Taxol, Taxotere, and Taxol. The immunotherapy drugs mentioned were Herceptin, Avastin, and atezolizumab. If you listen to my previous videos, you might remember that you can tell whether the name of the drug is a trade name or a generic name. The way you know the difference is trade names begin with a capital letter and generics begin with a lowercase letter. Taxol, Taxotere, Herceptin, Taxol, and Avastin are all trade names, and carboplatin and atezolizumab are generics. I have referred to some of these drugs using their trade name and others using their generic name, as that was the way they were referred to when I was receiving them. The last 2 treatments I received were Abraxane and Keytruda. Abraxane is chemo, and Keytruda is immunotherapy. Abraxane and Keytruda are both trade names. Abraxane is administered once a week, every week, and Keytruda is administered once a week, every 3 weeks. I became resistant to Abraxane after 17 cycles, then had colon surgery for the tumor I had mentioned in my first video, and so far, Keytruda is working well. To date, I have received 24 treatments of Keytruda with no evidence of disease. For more information on uterine cancer in general and guidelines for treatment, please visit the National Comprehensive Cancer Network at nccn.org. Under Guidelines for Patients, click on Uterine Cancer. Another good resource is a site called cancer.gov, and you can also find a great support group called Cancer Survivors Network at csn.cancer.org, and then search for uterine cancer. Hormone therapy is another therapy used for endometrial cancer. There is a test called an IHC, which stands for immunohistochemistry, which is used to see if your cancer will possibly respond to either estrogen or progesterone therapy. If the test is positive for either one, then hormone therapy may be an option, but most UPSC cancer tests negative for hormone receptors. Mine tested weakly positive for estrogen, but weakly positive is basically the same as negative. The test used to see if Herceptin might be useful for your type of cancer is called HER2. Her comes from the word Herceptin, which is usually administered with first-line treatment of Taxol and Carboplatin. There are 2 tests for HER2 status, IHC, which stands for immunohistochemistry, and FISH, which stands for fluorescent in situ hybridization. If you test positive by IHC or if amplified by FISH, then Herceptin may be an option for you. For a better understanding of this test, go to testing.com and search the word Herceptin. I mentioned in a previous video that I would touch on platinum drugs and taxanes. These 2 are important chemotherapy drugs as they are often used in first-line treatment for UPSC. Platinum drugs are made up of platinum and other elements, and the most commonly used ones are carboplatin and cisplatin. Some examples of chemo drugs that are classified as taxanes are 2 brand name drugs called Taxol and Taxotere. My first treatments were with Taxol and carboplatin, and the second time around it was a combination of Taxotere, carboplatin, and Herceptin. You can read more about platinum drugs and taxanes and their side effects at chemocare.com. Of note, certain drugs are harder on the blood cells than others. So for certain drugs, you might receive Neulasta, which is used to increase the white blood cell count. I was given Neulasta when I was undergoing treatment with Taxol. Neulasta helps to produce more white blood cells, which your body needs to fight infections. The device was attached to my abdomen, and you can research Neulasta to learn more about it and to see what the device looks like. I had mentioned internal and external pelvic radiation previously, but wanted to add here that internal radiation is called brachytherapy, spelled B-R-A-C-H-Y therapy, all one word. You can Google that for more information. In future videos, I will touch on how a power port works and also provide some basic information on genetic testing. Please let me know in the comments section below if you would like me to provide the spelling or definitions of any of the drugs or terminology mentioned in this series. I will end here, and if you think these videos are worthwhile, let me know in the comments section below, and it would be greatly appreciated if you could give it a like and subscribe. That way I can send you a notification when I upload a new video. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you again in part 5 of this series.